Well, hi there, everybody, and we'll go ahead and get straight into this. So we've got a little bit more FM17 for you here today. We're going to do 3 matches today. You already know this because you're probably looking at how long the video is and wondering why it's so long. We'll see if the old theory about make a longer video, get more views ends up working. We've actually been getting fewer views on this channel than before. That's just the way it is. We have a home match against Victoria Augsburg, and then we'll play 2 on the road, Königsbrunn and Grünenbach. Now, just so you know, we are unable to win the league, and we're also unable to compete for promotion. We're looking at highest we can get is 3rd. So that's sort of the way it is, and we'll see what happens here. In terms of who we're going to put out there, there's a big question. So it was a good game by Kutsu last time. I think we're going to have Kutsu come in here for Weiler, I think, and we'll see if that helps a little bit. I don't know. We're sort of guessing. So we play the guessing game here and see what happens. And we'll go ahead and get started. There we go. And we'll just skip through the rest of that, and here we go. So as you know, if you've been watching this, and some people have, some haven't, most people haven't. If you're new to this, though, the thing that I'm doing here is I'm playing, this is the old classic 2D mode. This is, for me at least, this is what Football Manager really is all about. I'm going to go make sure that we got our cursor on. There we go. So that it's a little bit more of like that real Football Manager feeling. 2D Classic mode is awesome, and it's a shame that they did away with this. Sports Interactive got rid of this in starting with FM 2018, and the excuses or the reasons why don't really make a lot of sense. This had to do, I believe, with a fundamental change that was made to the way that the match engine's graphics are shown, Varagos over to Brouwer, and they tried to push more towards 3D, even though there wasn't necessarily that much demand for it. Here's Kutsu on the side. Well, he tries to shoot from there, which is ridiculous. So I'm not sure what the thought process was. Kutsu's problem is that he has an issue with not being very consistent. And that inconsistency shows from time to time. So we're going to keep an eye on that. If he's having a bad match, we'll just take him out. It'd be nice if we got this 3D highlight loaded at some point in time. And it went away. So I guess we didn't have it highlight to see. And they have a free kick. So a lot of kind of strange things happening here today. I'm not sure if I fully understand what it is that's happening, but whatever, we'll just move along with it. Rausch wins this over to Varagos, back to Fuchel. That's a little bit dangerous. I'm not sure what the thought process was there. Fuchel goes back to Varagos, and he hits it the right way this time over to Mikhail. Anyway, so yeah, that's the reason why this is all sort of 2D. I know that it's not going to win a whole lot of friends, and it's probably not impressed with a lot of people. Pakarada is behind the defense. And he completely blows up on that and doesn't score anything, and that's a shame. We could use a goal. We could use a goal here, but we end up not getting it. And see, the 3D highlights do work after all. So, yeah, there you have it. It is true that on YouTube, especially, most people would much rather see a game played in 3D than in 2D. You know, we're going to do something a little bit differently, I think. Yeah, just as I thought, that back pass there is what the focus was. That was a really poorly designed back pass there by Varagos, who looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. I'm not sure why this is continuing, because that was, I believe, really the point of the highlight, because it was basically a bunch of nothing that happened after this. Pakarada had this chance, and it wasn't much, was it? Anyway, so yeah, we keep on going. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that you can see more in 2D than you can in 3D. I think that it's a much better representation of what's really happening in the game engine. But there are people who obviously apparently disagree. I will say that the modern 2D engine in Football Manager is not very good. And the one, of course, in FM26 is an absolute disaster. But, you know, there's so many things wrong with FM26 that it would not really be fair to, like, you know, point just 1 or 2 of them out. I mean, the whole game is just a complete, you know, a complete cluster, right? I mean, it's just awful. Saber wins this to Apostolo, and let's see if we can actually get an attack here. We have had about 60% of possession as usual, but we haven't done much with it. Laig over forward for Kutsu. This is more of what Kutsu should have, and he scores. So maybe he's having a good game today, and that puts us at 1-0. And that would put us up to 5th in the table. I told you, we technically can get up that far, but we cannot get to 2nd. We're 7 points behind even if we win this with 2 matches left. So it would be it would be fun to try, but it's kind of a shame. We're kind of doing the old wait till next year mode. That's what we're doing here. It's going to be a lot of the focus is on next season, and we'll do as best as we can to get through with this season. It was cool over to Vergos. Launches this forward for Kutsu, but this is too far forward. Kutsu, fortunately, does not tackle the keeper. We don't want you sent off. So we avoid that fate. Vergos in the back with us again, and that was really, really poor. Vergos needs to come off. Vergos is going to come off here, I think, when we get to halftime. Now, Victoria Augsburg actually are not, well, they are a horrible side. They're 15th, so much for trying to make excuses for these guys. Here's Kutsu again, and he scores again. Again from Apostolo, and that's 2 for him. So that makes it 2-0. And, you know, Kutsu just has that ability to get in behind the defense. That's just all there is to it. He just gets in behind the defense and he scores easy goals. When we are eventually promoted, Kutsu will probably no longer be good enough. But as long as we have him and as long as he's doing this, we are going to let the good times roll. Now, Houndstetten, if they manage to beat Königsbrunn, Houndstetten will leapfrog us again. But hopefully that doesn't happen. They're down 2-1. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then we also would love it if Otto Boyren would not win, but it looks like they've gone up. And Durach, I think, have gone up now as well. Anyway, we're doing a little bit of scoreboard watching, just mostly because it would be nice if we could move things forward a little bit. Who was I talking about here? It was Vergos, who's not having a great game. So we'll put Yilmaz out there. I know what the halftime rating is, right? I know that it looks better than it really is or something like that. We're going to put Weiler back on as well. So we'll do that. 2 substitutions, and we'll see where we go from here. I know that, you know, if you're like me, so the FM creator I watched a lot of back in the day was Lelujo. I know that he always does the substitutions at 60 minutes or something like that, does them all at once. I'm not such a fan of that. I like to make decisions at halftime, or sometimes I'll just let everybody stay on or whatever. We try different things out, depending on what level we're in and what the fixture schedule looks like and stuff. A lot of the earlier saves I've done were with the old World Super League, where you'd have 2 matches a week like the entire season. Apostolo with it and has it taken away. So if you're doing something like that, then you absolutely do need to be very, very careful about, making sure that guys are getting rest and all that stuff. But here in Germany, we don't really need to worry about that. We only have 1 match a week. They can play a little bit longer than maybe in other places. We don't have to worry about, doing too much rotation in the middle of the match. Mikael and just misses it. So, yeah, that was a good attempt, but anyways, the results here, there I think are a bunch of players in the first team that haven't even played so far this season, and the season's just about over, so it is. Like I said, though, what we really want to do is not just make sure that we're top half. That's what the board are looking for. We want to try to be up very, very close. I would love a finish that's in 4th or 3rd place, especially since we spent the first month of the season in 16th. So we really, really could use, something like that for our morale going forward. We have about a half hour left right now, and like I said, I'll probably just go ahead and leave this the way it is, and yeah, we'll see what happens later on. Again, a big day of Football Manager 2017 with 3 matches here. After these 3 are done, then I have the unenviable task of trying to get us to the next season, which means I'm going to have to sit down and figure out what's going on with the team and do a whole bunch of that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to worry about, and then I've also got to think about doing more of these scripted videos and figuring out a better plan to try to get this channel kind of up and ripping and roaring again. If you've been paying attention, most people again haven't, but if you've been paying attention, you know that we haven't exactly been doing all that well here. It's funny because the YouTube you see from the point of view of somebody just watching stuff is totally different from what you see when you're looking at YouTube Studio and you're the creator and stuff, right? For the vast majority of people, they don't even know that I've been coming out with videos, and I know that because they haven't been watching them. Although this series has actually been getting pushed by the algorithm. It's just that we're deep enough into it that a lot of people are not kind of clicking on over and going for it, which is fine. That's something that's to be expected. I do think that, especially if we keep this going long term, I think it will eventually garnish at least some interest. Also, I will say that if FM27 is as bad as FM26 was, I do think that there will be interest before too long in some of the older games in the series. So there you have it. We are going to win this match. I can say right now, they haven't put up much of an attack at all. We still just are holding the ball. We've only had 3 shots on target, and we scored 2 of them. So, and then there was the other one was that sitter that went straight over the top. So it's not been a very good game here for Weiler, who came on halfway through. And it's a good thing that we still have Kutsu, because he seems sometimes to be the only one who can do anything. Saber trying not to get himself sent off, and he doesn't. And this is going to be a throw in a really awkward position. So I don't know why we were watching that, but for some reason the game was convinced that this is exactly what we needed to see at this moment. And this pass goes nowhere. Saber with it over to Weiler. This looks a little bit better, and he has it taken away from him. He's just having a bad match. Fly couldn't get to it. I'm not sure why there was that arrow on top of the referee, so you can let me know if you understand why he had a yellow arrow for a little while, but I don't know. Here comes Kutsu, looking for the hat trick, and it's saved. So it says right there, you would have bet money on him putting it away. I'm pretty sure somebody out there probably had a prop bet. That's something you can do. Put out prop bets on YouTube Football Manager saves, right? Anyway, it's all good. And there was a save. Well, one thing I'm going to do here at the end of this video is I'm going to make a file available with all of the, or the save file rather, for this save available for you. So you can go and play it yourself. And I'll probably just make it available for everybody. I'm guessing that's probably the big thing I'll do. So look for that coming soon here in the next little while. And this is going to be the end of the match, I think, right here. Now it's Brouwer with a chance, and it doesn't happen. I'm surprised that they've kind of dragged this one out so long. Usually we kind of skip to the end around this point, and instead we've been watching the last 2 minutes of this match, and it's been kind of drab, and there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. I mean, Mikhail over to Rausch to Yilmaz, looking for Brouwer, and can't find him. Flaig now, down to Apostolo. I mean, are we going to score a goal, or are we going to keep doing this nonsense in midfield? That's what it looks like. We did a great job there. It was, who is this? Saber making a great defensive play. There was another great defensive play by, I think it was Apostolo, and there is the final whistle. So that was a little bit strange at the end. I don't know what in the world we were supposed to see from all that. Anyway, we have won this one 2-0, and that helps us a bit in terms of the table. It puts us up to 5th. So Siementhausen did not end up doing very well. Oh, they won. I'm sorry. They beat Durach, but they wind up here in this position. We are within reach of Durach, and we could potentially also get past Otto Boren, but both of those teams have to lose. We'd have to win 2 in a row to have a chance. Honestly, it's really only... no, we do have a chance to get past Otto Boren if possible, if we win. So... Anyway, there you have it. Stuttgart end up with a playoff spot. How about that? I haven't looked at all the other leagues. After all this talk about looking at the other leagues, I haven't done any of that. All right, I'll be back with you here in a second. All right, and we're back here for match number 2. As usual, just want to remind you that if you enjoy what you're watching here, consider becoming a channel member or supporting me on Patreon. One way or the other, it always helps out. We can use all the help that we can get here. So we'll go here for the second match. And this time we're going to be on the road against FC Königsbrunn. And Königsbrunn are in 10th place. We are in 5th, and we're looking pretty good. So we probably should wind up with a victory here, I think. But we'll see exactly what happens. We go over here to our team selection. Yeah, and the question is, do we still want Kutsu in there, or do we want to put Weiler in there? Let's try Weiler here today. Let's sort of see what happens. Oh, Berghold is injured, and he was on the bench. So, okay, we make the quick change there. Actually, Seveka will put Lehmann over there. Lehmann probably should actually be in here instead of Vergos. So we'll put Lehmann over there. And let's see how we do in this match. We are in red today, so we have that sort of unusual color scheme. This is actually where, again, it helps to play in 2D mode because it makes it easier to see instead of trying to like figure out from the colors which team is yours and which team isn't. So far so good. We've started this match. We're probably about 10 minutes or so into it, and hopefully we can get a victory. If we can get a victory here today, we might be challenging for 4th place, which again would be amazing. It'd be sort of like the miracle season that we managed to come back, but we have to actually get the ball back, and we haven't done that yet. About half and half in terms of possession so far, so this is not a typical Bobingen match. I'm not sure if we've got sort of like the sun in our eyes or exactly what's happening, but that was not exactly the best job that we've done so far. Brouwer here with the free kick, and that goes over everyone's head once again. That's a normal Brouwer free kick. We've seen a lot of that this season. So, nothing still. And, not much going on. We haven't had much by way of highlights. We're almost half hour into this. There's been very few shots in this match. It's been sort of a battle in midfield. Apostolo over to Rausch. Back to Apostolo, who looks for Parakada and can't quite find him. Saber ends up winning it off of the other team over to Mikhail. Mikhail to Pakarada. Up to Lehmann. Let's see if Pakarada can get open here. Goes to Mikhail. Back to Lehmann. There it is down to Brouwer now. Now we're sort of moving forward. Flaig takes a shot, but nothing happens there, unfortunately. And so we still are looking for the first goal of this match. It's been kind of quiet so far, I'll tell you that. Apostolo wins that off of Kurtulus, I think was how you say his name, to Brouwer over to Weiler. And here we are with numbers, but Weiler didn't see. There's the pass, and goes over to Mikhail after a deflection, and he deflects that on in. And that's going to be his 4th goal of the season. So Tim Mikhail shows once again that he's got what it takes. He's a very good player. It's a good thing that we signed him. I don't think that our assistant manager is good enough to know who's good and who's not. But we certainly are good enough to know that. Mikhail is definitely a good player, at least for this level. So 1-0 for Bobingen. As you know, we have another season here at this level. Brouwer's free kick this time also goes over. Since we are not going to be promoted, we will have another season here at this 7th tier. And I think next season we should probably be able to dominate. That's going to be a foul there on Mashaj. I'm not sure how to say that name. And so we wind up with the penalty. It'll be Özkul lining it up. I'm not sure why we would have him take it. Kutsu's not in there, so he is not available to take it. So I guess it is going to be Özkul, which kind of makes me a little bit surprised. So some unusual goal scorers here today, assuming that this goes in. And it is in. 2-0. Özkul ends up with his 2nd goal of the season. I'm not sure why he's the one who's taking the penalties, and I'm not sure that I care enough to change it. So we'll probably just leave it at him. But there it was, and that makes it 2-0. And that'll send us over here to halftime. It's telling me that Pakarada and Weiler are playing well, so we'll go ahead and leave them in for the time being. Let's just go straight into the second half. We have a massive attendance of 30 people here in, where is this, Königsbrunn. Not too surprised. This is another relatively small place. We have a lot of sort of small places when we're at this level, but 30 people here to watch this match as we go up 2-0. Let's hope that we can get another goal or two here and improve our chances of moving up. So Sonthofen 2 are playing, and I think that they are behind, if I'm reading this right. But we would not be able to catch up with them, right? Because there's one match this season after that. Durach are up as well, so we really would like Durach to not be winning. But if things stand the way that they are standing right now, we're going to end up sort of stuck and probably wind up in 5th place. Brouwer with this, and his shot goes up and over. Tell you, a couple of wins here or there would have made a major difference for us this season, but not quite. That's just sort of the way that it works, right? And it wouldn't be any fun if we came in the first season and just dominated everything and won every match. I mean, you don't want to see that. So we take it as it comes. And let's see if we can win the ball off. Fuchel with the save. It wasn't really much of a header anyway. So that's done at least something, and then he throws over to Lehmann, and we'll start it over again, but still no highlights. It's still 2-0 for Bobingen. And this looks like it's going to wind up being one of those really quick matches, and my guess is that it means that the final match of the season will also be a quick one. Flaig wins that off of his man, and then decides to pass it to Horn, who scores the goal, and he's flagged for being offside. This is one of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen. I've never seen anything quite like this in Football Manager. So, and it wasn't Flaig. He just sort of stood there and let Bertram take it off of him. But Horn was standing there clearly offside. Really, really bizarre decision making there on the part of Flaig. I'm not sure what he was thinking. You know, I have been doing a few small transfers here sort of secretly in the background so that we can try to get this midfield bolstered a little bit. That's where all of the problems are. We're going to do, when this summer comes, we're going to do a really big sort of rethink of the entire squad, I think, and we're going to try to grab a couple of players that might be a little bit better than these guys, and try to make it so that we have a little bit more of a chance of getting a really strong team involving players that can actually play their positions, so that we can see less plays like that. Lehmann looks forward for Weiler. We're running out of time here anyway. So Weiler not quite able to catch up with that. I think we're going to have Kutsu in for the next match. Weiler has not really impressed me today. Saber wins this in the back and makes a really, really poor pass to Apostolo, who really has to fight to win that. It's very, very poor decision making. It doesn't really matter. The match is over. And so we have won this match 2-0. And it was a pretty drab match, but a pretty easy victory for us. And so it was cool. Gets the player of the match. And Brouwer ends up with a 6.8 rating, so he's doing okay. And we remain in 5th place. So we still need a Durach loss. And that's the one thing that we could get. We could get up to 4th if we win and they lose. So we'll see that in a second. Talk to you then. All right, and we're back. So let's go ahead and get ready for this, the final match of the season. We should be able to beat Grunenbach, and if we can beat them, we might be able to get up to 4th place. It sort of depends on what happens. Otherwise, we're going to take Weiler out and put Kutsu in because Weiler has not been playing all that well. And any other big changes we need to make? Not really. So give you a little bit of a preview of what's coming up. Vedat Ekitsi should be able to play for us. We're probably going to have him play in midfield to help cover that gap. This will be next season. Same thing with Rogalski. Christian Rogalski should also be able to play. We'll probably have him play back in midfield as well. So that should help our midfield quite a bit. And then John Pitts, I think, can also play in midfield. So that's kind of what the plan is. We'll probably have these 3 players in to help replace some of these guys who are just not so good. We probably, for sentimental purposes, will hold on to someone like Tim Mikhail. But for the most part, a lot of these other players are probably just going to be released. They're just simply not good enough to play for this team. So anyway, we'll go ahead and go over to team selection. Remember, Fuchel, when we got him not that long ago, was showing his... Uzko is banned from the match. It's even better. Fuchel over there in goal was showing when we first got him as the best keeper in the entire league. The league that we're at, and now he's only showing us 2 stars. So it's amazing how things can change. And so we'll go ahead and head on over here and see what's happening in the match and get this season to an end. Bad Grunenbach, of course, with these really interesting green jerseys. This is almost like a neon green. And so this is going to be an interesting match for those of you who like watching all the little colors that happen. No score yet, and we're about 10 minutes into the match. And Sonthofen 2, so we need somebody to lose. We probably need Durach to lose. Pacarado over to Mikhail. Mikhail takes the shot, and that doesn't go anywhere. Durach have scored, by the way. They're up 1-0, so we'll take a look at that as we go along. You know, 5th place isn't that bad. We do want the victory, though. We want to make sure that we stay in 5th. I think that it looks like Erkheim is not going to win as they've gone down. So I think that we will be safe here with this finish, but it would be nice to get, you know, another win and just move another place forward. Brouwer wins this over to Flaig. Flaig to Brouwer. Back to Lehmann, and Lehmann dribbles it a little bit. Finds Mikhail, and it's taken right away from him. That's the end of that. Flaig does win this. He's already got a yellow card. Looks forward and finds Brouwer, and it goes over to Kutsu, whose shot is completely off the mark. And this is already the end of the first half. So this has been pretty drab so far. There's just nothing going on here in this match. Pacarada is going to come off. We'll put Schreiber on. And I think that's the way it's going to be. I don't know. We could put Weiler back on here for Brouwer. Let's go ahead and give that a try. Why not? See what Weiler's like in that attacking midfielder position. This is forward for Schreiber, and he doesn't even attempt to go after it. I mean, that was an awful pass. So this is a little bit drab. We're hoping that we actually do score a goal. We would like a win today instead of just going home with 1 point. But we'll see if we can actually get that done or not. Schreiber wins this off his man over to Kutsu. Kutsu's wide open again, and he scores. So it's 1-0 Bobingen. That's what we were looking for. That's what we were looking for. And now what we need is Osmering to come up with a goal against Strock. All we really need is one. If they can get one, actually, yeah, if they can draw that match. I don't know how we are in goal differential. We might not have enough to push ourselves above. So we might be looking for like a real miracle, but we'll see what we can do. We need to do our part first, and we're doing it right now by scoring that goal. That would put us up to 51 points. Weiler now, and that is stopped by their keepers, so much for that. And Duroc have made it up to second place, and so that's the other sort of interesting thing happening here, which is that if Ottoboren or Sonthofen Zwei don't win, there's a chance that Duroc could make it up to second place and could wind up in the promotion positions. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening just above us in the league. So what we definitely want to do next season is we want to win as many matches as we can and get that promotion secured. Flaig just barely misses. That's a real bad luck for him. So we're very, very close to the top, but we're not quite there yet. Dinkelschreiben, by the way, 69 points. Remember, there's 30 matches in one of these seasons, so you can get 90 points at most, but 69 pretty good. We'll see if we can get a little 90-point season ourselves, huh? Kutsu with this. Over back to Rausch. Up to Flaig. Flaig over to Apostolo. And he had an idea, but it didn't work. Kutsu with the shot, and that didn't work. So a little bit messy, a little bit not kind of what we were expecting. But, you know, we're on a winning streak. We want to keep it going. Weiler, what was that? This has got to be the worst corner I've seen so far. So, again, this one a pretty drab match. Not much happening here. I'll tell you, for tomorrow, assuming I get to the right point tomorrow, for the next match is what I should be saying. We're going to try to do a little bit of introductory video. We'll go over all of the, we'll do an introduction to the video rather, where we will go over what the team looks like now and all the changes that we've made. So expect some changes. We're not going to do anything really all that sweeping. We just want to do enough changes to make it clear that we've been doing at least something here in the transfer window. And this will probably be the last transfer window we have where there could be transfers made, and we still might not make very many because we want to get it over to youth-focused. Weiler with it. Over to Kutsu. And that was a great save there by Schachner. And Kutsu almost had his second goal. So still 1-0. And this is over everybody's head. Ends up being Kutsu, goes back and gets it. That's that pace and acceleration. He passes this forward to Schreiber. Schreiber over to Flaig. He holds it for a little while, and then I'm not sure what he was trying to do with it. Whatever he was trying to do didn't work, and there's Fries in the back, and we're in trouble. And fortunately, his shot is wide and over. So it's been a drab match, and we're not doing a whole great job with it. Flaig with it here couldn't get anything to happen, and we came very, very close to conceding there. And there in the back, that was Salihovic, who's in this match mostly because of the suspension to whoever it was again. And so it is. Kutsu has been injured, and we need to take him off really quickly, I think. And what are we going to do? We're going to put Weiler up for him, and Finger will come on. This is like the worst possible circumstance for us, as Kutsu has a head injury. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't need to come off, right? Maybe he's okay. He can play while he's bleeding from his head, right? No problem. No harm, no foul. Schreiber forward, and it'll be Schaffner who ends up grabbing this. And we have about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes left with the added time on, if you count that. And so this season coming quickly to an end. Focal with a save, and a real poor save, and that forces a corner. So Kutsu now with the ability to come off, which is good. This is headed backwards. It'll be Finger grabbing this. Finger, not really much of a player. Honestly, what was that? That was horrible. Hanno Finger had not played much. I'd had him playing mostly in midfield. I'm not really pleased with the fact that he's in this match, and he may not stay at this club for much longer. Usually with these youth academy challenges, you don't want to like just get rid of players willy-nilly, but at this level, we kind of have to. We've got to make some exceptions here so we can actually get through this level and get it to where the game is playing the way that we want it to. Schreiber over to Flaig, and there's nothing there. Salihovic, however, wins this in the back over to Lehmann. Lehmann with it, up to Flaig. Flaig looks forward, finds Finger. Finger to Weiler, who just barely gets there. It was a poor pass by Finger. Apostolo now, over to Weiler, and he scores the goal. So Weiler, and they're going to call that an own goal on Santoro. I really think that Weiler should have been credited with that. We'll take another look here, and you tell me what you think. It's Apostolo with this, and there was the pass, and Weiler, I'm not so sure about that. You'd have to zoom way in to sort of see that one. So anyway, one way or another, this is the way that this match will end. Apostolo with the throw in, and it looks like we wind up in 5th place after all, so nothing really happens. We reluctantly say that there's nothing specific to say right now. I'm not quite sure why. I thought it was actually a well-played match. I might want to consider eventually taking control of Team Talks. Anyway, we went up this season from 16th place up to 5th, which is not really all that bad when all things are said and done. We've played very, very well. We have this 15-goal differential. We really should have been over Sonthofen Spy, who had a big collapse. It'll be Dinkel-Scherben being promoted, and then Otto Beuren might be promoted as well, so we'll see what happens. But, you know, all of that's not really all that important. We'll talk about all of that a little bit later on when it's time to talk about that. I'm going to put up the file for this save as well, so you can enjoy it and figure it out and see all the things that are happening. And I will see you next season, hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see if there's enough time. Talk to you later.